Hi guys, Luke here from Sabre Airsoft with a very quick, hopefully quick video on very basics of gas blowback maintenance, specifically gas blowback pistols. SMGs and rifles have their own quirks, but the same principles basically apply. So first, what do you need? Do you need a fancy mat? No, you don't. I just happen to have a Viper Tactical one. Honestly, this is pretty much exactly as you would get on a keyboard and mouse mat for your desk, though doesn't have the stitched edges. You could also use something like this, silicone mat, cheap off of Amazon. That'll do the job as well. In fact, it did do the job for me for a long time, and I still use it. What else are you going to need? Do you need... Probably seen this one a lot. People go, oh, you should use silicone oil. Or maybe they'll have something like this, or maybe the Nuprol stuff. Don't do that. What you do need is this stuff. Super Lube, PTFE. And if you're feeling fancy, Super Lube oil. This stuff is much better. There are people who've done videos on why, so I'm not going to explain for you, but you will need it. Don't use silicone grease unless you're doing it on O-rings. I do find it works quite well for O-rings. Other than that, you should be using Super Lube. And if you do need to use an oil, use Super Lube oil, because again, it's PTFE, interacts better with everything in the gun. So, what else? Dirty rag. You'll need one of those, because you're going to be cleaning a lot of crap off. If you do need silicone grease, you could spend the obscene amount of money on these little tiny pots, or spend a similar amount of money on a big old tub of it. Any brand will do. There is differences between the different silicone greases, but for the purposes of airsoft, doesn't really matter. What else? Paintbrush. Can I have a kit? This is one I nicked off my wife. I just recently bought another pack. This is how you apply your lubrication. You don't get your fingers and just jam it in there. You'll end up using too much. And that is pretty much all you need. So, all pistols pretty much operate the same. All gas blowback pistols, mind. Non-blowback, such as the Mark 23, or revolvers such as the lovely Down Wesson, do not work the same. So, this is a Vorsk Vengeance, which is basically a high capper. Most people have high cappers, although you might have a Glock, which does come apart in a different way. But if you want to know how to take down most pistols, best advice I can give you is either look up a tutorial for that specific pistol, or go and play World's Guns Disassembly, because that is how I learned how most guns are taken down. In this case, it's very simple. Pull the slide lock out, pull the slide off. So whenever I get a new pistol, this is the first thing I do. I take it apart. I get my dirty rag and I clean off all that factory gunk. And there's usually a lot. This is not a new pistol, by the way, but it is one that I have done maintenance on before and could do with a little bit of a clean again. So I'm not going to fully take it apart. It's really important to know that. Instead, all I'm going to do is take it apart most of the way. So really easy to do. That's as far as I'm going to go. That is it. I'm going to get my dirty rag and I'm going to clean all of these parts with all the grease. At the same time, check for any damage. I didn't notice that. That spring is missing a bit. I think that's by design, to be fair. So I'm not too worried about that. What I don't like seeing when I'm working on guns, and it does happen an annoying amount, is I'll get a gun from someone and it'll be caked in oil. So what they'll do is they'll go, well, the book says to use silicone oil, but how much oil? Well, I suppose I'll just use everything that's in the American oil preserves. Don't use silicone oil. Silicone oil bad. So, cleaning it all out, checking for any immediate problems. Not that I can see any immediate problems, apart from the missing adjustment screw. I just never bothered to get a replacement. Check for any bits that I've missed. Okay, then we'll check the bottom. Same deal again. Wipe off any lubrication that's there. Check function, check for any immediate obvious damage. Not that I can see any. Cool. Happy days. So, once you've got all the gunk off, what do? Well, the next thing I would do, if it's been a while since I've done it, is I'll check the barrel. I'll look down, ideally put it against something bright behind it, like a bit of white. That'll help you to see if there's any gunk in the barrel. You might be able to see in there, there's a tiny bit of dirt. So to fix that, I shall get myself one of these. This is a cotton pad. You can buy them in bulk. And by in bulk, I mean in bulk. You can get them on Amazon in like packs of 100 or something silly. Because this is the most therapeutic thing you can do. It's not scary, it's not difficult. And you don't need to do it after every game unless you are playing in a particularly dusty and dirty environment. Then I'd suggest, yes, do it after every game. Especially if you're one of these who likes to use your weapons as walking sticks or aids in moving around in mud. Yes, I have seen people genuinely use rifles as a walking stick. They were rentals, so of course they didn't care about their own gun. That was not fun and cathartic to clean. So all I'm doing is cutting this into strips, which I'm then going to use to clean the inside of the barrel. With one of these, which you get these with every single airsoft gun, unless you're buying second hand. You might see as well online people go, use silicone oil, spray silicone oil down the barrel, put silicone oil on the rag. What did I just say about silicone oil? Stop that. Dry. Just going in, pull it out, and there you go. How well that's coming up. That. Didn't need any silicone oil. In fact, if it's clay and you put silicone oil down there, you're just going to make your life that much harder. I'm going to keep doing this until there's no more dirt on the rag, which actually only took one, because I look after my guns. Do a quick double check to make sure. Yep, clean enough. Give it a blow, just to be sure. No, I can still see someone in there. Just go in, give it a twist to come out this time. No, there's definitely dirt still in there. Okay, that got it. Am I worried about damaging the hop? No, I'm not, because I'm not shoving it all the way through. I'm just putting it down far enough that I feel the stop, and I stop. So, now we've gone clean the barrel out. No damage to the nozzle. Yep, looks all fine. We just reverse the steps. We grab our super lube, and we grab our brush. The points you want to lubricate, especially if this is a second hand or it's a gun you've had for a while, is where you start to see the contact marks and the wear, because that is where you're getting the metal on metal contact. See on the top here, here, and on the side. And if we look at the slide, you can tell I don't use this very much, there's very little wear on it. But you would normally see wear around here, which is where the slide stop is, slide catch, and you see wear at the back here, which is where it's riding along the hammer here, which, funny enough, you see wear. So, let's assemble the upper first. It's a bit too much. You only need a tiny bit. You're not trying to fully load your brush here. Just enough that you can apply it. Very thin coating. This stuff is so good, you genuinely only need a thin coating. Put that to one side. I'm not going to do the spring because the spring only contacts with that. So if that's lubricated, don't need to do the spring. Very small amount on my brush. And we're just going to put very thin coating along here. A tiny bit along this bit here because it seems to catch that a lot. It's actually probably a bit much there. I'll do just fine. So I'll put that down for a second and start reassembling. And that side's done. You move on to the bottom. Same deal again. Small amount. So it's in the bristles but not clumped on. I'm just going to go along where I know the contact points happen to be. See, you can just barely see that there's some on there. See, looks like there's more than there is, but from there you can see there's hardly any at all. Bit much on there then. Come on, off you get. Thank you. That should be it, I believe. You'll notice I didn't put any down in there. That's where this goes through, and that goes through this hole here. This doesn't move, so I don't need to put any down there. So now that I've done that, put the slide back on. Smooth as butter. That's how you do the pistol. And it's the same with pretty much any pistol. CZP01, same deal. Although this one is probably a bad example, it is broken currently. There we go. Takedown is exactly the same, and I'll do the exact same thing. Remove the barrel, remove the spring guide, clean the barrel, clean off any lubrication that's there, check for damages, and then reapply lubrication. Reassemble. Painfully reassemble. Come on. Thank you. It's like boneyard work in progress. Who needs to be able to shoot, right? So that's how you do the pistol. The next one, though, we actually have to put the super lube away. I know I said that we use super lube for everything except for O-rings. That's where this stuff comes in. And this is the same for every single mag type that I have come across. It's always the same. If your magazine, for example, is hissing from the bottom, that's your fill valve. Should be an easy fix. If it's hissing from the top, it's probably this valve. How do you get these valves out? You need tools. This one from WE is good for the knocker valve, which is the exhaust valve up here. This one from Amazon sort of works for the fill valve. It very much depends on the maker. I actually find that this iFixit kit is better for getting those out. As in this is these. Don't know what their actual original intention is for these, but I find they work really, really well on the fill valves. Don't do this, because you bugger your O-rings. Although I am going to now do it to demonstrate what happens. So, now that it's vented, I can open the valve. This one for this one. I'll show you how I do maintenance on these. If I haven't left gas in them, I can all but guarantee they'll be leaking. Always leave a bit of gas in. You don't have to fill them, but do leave a little bit of gas in. So, that's your valve there. I don't know if you'll be able to see, apart from the fact that it's ice cold right now. You'll find that the O-ring that's at the bottom here is still got silicone grease, but this O-ring here is now bone dry because I vented all of that gas in one go. To fix that, we use our good old friend silicone grease. Because I don't want to cross-contaminate, I'm going to get a new brush. Is it a problem if you do? Not particularly. But I am a simple man. I also didn't realise I bought 2 packets of these. I'm not complaining. I can give 1 packet to my wife and then she'll be happy. A happy wife is a happy life. Or as she says, a happy spouse is a happy house. There we go, we'll use this one. So, again, same deal. Although I am going to be somewhat more liberal with my my grease, because with O-rings you can be. It will quite literally sort itself out. Just going to give that paint. Now, you don't have to do this all the time, but I would recommend giving your O-rings a bit of a once-over, check for any cracks, check to see if it's dry. If it is dry, give it some silicone grease, not oil. That oil will last all of 2 seconds before it shoots all through your gun. Plus, for those of you who don't know, green gas, such as this, all it is propane and silicon. Silicon oil. So you don't need to put silicone oil, because that's going to do it for you. Unless, of course, you're like Jaeger Precision and others, and use straight propane and occasionally run some oil through your gun. I would not recommend that for beginners. And when you're tightening this up, do not crank it. I have seen many a valve ruined because people have just tightened it up beyond the point that it needs to be, and you crush and tear that O-ring. Just keep going until you get to the point where it's getting a bit of resistance. There we go. That's now it's at its maximum there. I hope. Soon find out. Let's give it a test fill. Fill. Listen. Nothing. Yep, that's whacked. It's the same for this mag. See, same valves. And this mag, slightly different valve, but this key will work. Just double check. Yep, that will indeed work. How about a Glock mag? Again, same valve. Same valve. They are all the same. And that is how you maintain a gas pistol. Future Luke here. I'll say future is about a couple of minutes after. There's a couple of things that I wanted to say in addition to what I've already said. Such as, do I need to have a big workshop in order to do this sort of thing? No. I used to do it on my desk with my computer and whatever anime I was watching at the time. So recently that I got myself an actual workshop. Do I need to stick oil down the trigger mechanism? No, maybe. Depends if it's looking like it's bone dry and it's looking like it's wearing a lot more. Yes. But, again, PTFE oil. I think James over at Jaeger Precision does quite a good oil dropper thing. I'm yet to test it, so I can't say for sure. Do I have to do it every week? No, not really. I go months between doing mine, unless, as I say, I've been in a particularly dirty field. Then I'll probably do it again. But I'll only do the basics and look for any damage. What if my gun has a problem? Or what problem? Come and talk to me. Honestly, this is a boneyard, as I say. Has its issues. Inconsistently, it doesn't like to fire at all. Apparently it's slide locked now. There we go. Oh yeah, and that happens. That likes to fall out. Just on its own. Can it be fixed? Probably. Depends on the age of the gun. Getting parts can be a nightmare, especially with the older guns like this one, which is discontinued. But usually I can find most parts. Anyway. Happy maintenance.